Hey guys, this is Crazy Orchid Lady and welcome to my channel. Today I went to visit my mom and I saw something that darn near broke my heart, but I figured it would be a great teaching opportunity for the YouTube community. Now, mind you, I'm not an expert. I am a home grower. I give you advice and I show you things that I have learned over 20 plus years of growing. I mean, I've always grown, but my mom, even though she has more experience than me growing, she's also not an expert, and she primarily grows phals and cattleyas. Not really anything else. I'm just starting to get her into dendrobiums now, but that's pretty much all she grows is cattleyas. She's got hundreds of those, and phalaenopsis. Trying to expand and broaden her horizons, I purchased two identical orchids, and these guys are the famous Moneirara Millennium Magic Witchcraft. And I will show you. The tags are identical. Potting date is the same, deflasking date is the same, came from the same batch, they came at the same time, and they came looking exactly the same. When I purchased these orchids, they had the initial seedling bulb. There's a tiny one in there. There's this bulb, and then they had this very large bulb with leaves, and they had buds. Believe it or not, this plant had the exact same thing. The itsy bitsy little new growth. Let's see if it's still in there. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so itsy bitsy little new growth, this one, and then the very giant big bulb. This is my mother's plant. This is my plant. Now, I've had Catasetums for 5 or 6 years now. I haven't really been growing them that long, but I have them enough to know, or have had them long enough to know, that winter rest, or rest in general, for these guys is essential. Yeah, if you don't winter rest them, these guys will, in Florida, completely rot out. So, I will tell you what happened. I'm going to put mine to the side. Alright, so my mother put this plant outside with her cattleyas, with her phalaenopsis, and when it had a big bulb, and it held on to its leaves for the longest time. It held on to the flowers for the longest time as well. Meanwhile, my orchid started dropping its leaves, had no leaves, finally flowered, because this tends to be how these guys go. They will completely put out all their leaves, and they will start growing the flower spike when the leaves start to drop. And by the time this thing looks ugly, like a big bare cane, you will have a flower spike, and then they will finally open. Well, this guy didn't do that. This guy kept the leaves, kept the flower spike, opened the flower spike with the leaves on, dropped all the buds, then started to drop the leaves, and then started growing a new growth. During that entire time, I kept telling her to stop watering that plant. She did not, however, because it's got green. You know, you wanna water it. It's green, and you don't want it to go dry. But she didn't do that. So she kept watering it. It held on to its leaves, dropped the buds. Everything started kind of drying out. Finally, it just had the bulb. And once again, she continued to water it because she had seen a new growth emerging. Meanwhile, mine had already gone into dormancy. No new growth yet. This season, her growth that had started growing had completely stopped. And because it had been watered throughout winter, completely rotted out. It never got very big. I'm going to say it got maybe a little bit bigger than this bulb, and then it completely rotted out to mush. And she didn't tell me because she was scared. But when I went to her home, I saw this and I said, "Oh, you bought a Catasetum?" And she said, "Nope, that's the one you gave me." So I panicked and I was like, "Give me that plant and let me save it." So right now it's coming out of dormancy because she had it completely backwards. It's still growing this last leaf, Once it does, it's going to go into dormancy, and there it's going to stay until probably, I see it in January, February, coming out of dormancy. And hopefully that will help to save this plant. Meanwhile, mine, as you can see, here's the original bulb. Here's this year's growth. She is just finishing maturing this new leaf, and she should put out a, I'm trying to see if it's there yet. Not yet, but she should put out a flower spike for me. It's still a little bit too early. It really won't do that until these start to drop. But giving these plants a winter rest is essential for them to grow properly for you. What that basically means, what does winter rest mean? Doesn't necessarily have to be in the winter, guys. It depends on the plant. So this plant has a growth cycle where it actually starts to grow the plant, completely grows an entirely brand new root system. And I mean brand new. Anything that was produced by this bulb and all the previous bulbs root-wise will die. Okay, you can cut them bare if you want to. You can store them without a pot. Kind of like if they were tulip bulbs, okay? Then the plant on its own will come out of dormancy, and what you will see is a new little growth start to emerge, and that growth will start to form, and it doesn't need water, guys. It doesn't need any water. It doesn't need anything but light. You don't need to pot it up or anything. You can just leave it there. What causes that new growth to actually form is the energy that it stores in these bulbs. These bulbs will completely supply that new growth with energy. It'll help it develop. You'll start seeing it form roots, and that's fantastic. You still don't want to water them. You don't want to even pot it up until those roots are at least 1 inch to 2 inches long. Some people like to hold out even longer. I'm not that brave because things come out of dormancy here a lot faster, but you know, some people don't wait until there's quite a lot of roots. I actually have these guys potted in sphagnum. I think I've said that before, because it just requires so much water when they are in active growth. But I don't take them out. I will leave them in that sphagnum. It'll go bone dry, and I'll leave them in the pot, and I'll just put them down somewhere. Usually down there under the table, and that's where they're gonna stay the entire winter, unless it gets to like 28 degrees, in which case I bring them in for the day, but for the most part they'll stay right out there. And then the next year I will not water this plant until I see that new growth get fairly large and I start seeing quite a bit of roots hit the moss. They need this winter rest, because if you don't winter rest them, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be winter, if you don't winter rest them, it completely depletes all of the energy it has in this bulb to growing that growth at the inappropriate time, and then the plant literally kills itself. And that's what happened here. So right now, I'm going to let this plant finish making this little new growth, and then it's going to go in for a winter rest. And then next year we're going to put some slow release fertilizer in here, and hopefully fingers crossed, we can save it and we'll get a growth that's bigger than the previous one, because this growth is going to be tiny. So it's going to take at least 2 seasons for this thing to get any bigger, but have to save it. So anyway, guys, I hope you found this informational. I hope this helps someone so that you don't have this happen to you. But they're fantastic plants. They can get really big. And this particular one, the Moneirara Millennium Magic, the black orchid, is very, very beautiful. It's one of those kind of centerpiece orchid collector items that you should have if you want to be, if you're serious about collecting. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. But thank you so much again for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, post, ask me questions, check out my Facebook my Facebook page. It is CrazyOrchidLady.fl at Facebook. And also, if you have any comments, concerns, questions for me, please don't forget to send me an email at CrazyOrchidLady.fl at gmail.com. And thank you so much again for watching. Have a great rest of your day.